So let's talk about Arsenal then, and goodness gracious me, did they get out of jail in more ways than one with that win away to Luton. It was Luton Town 3, Arsenal 4, and oh my goodness me, I mean, Luton, you were so close, man. You were so close. You had them. And look, as a Liverpool fan, I was watching and I was thinking, this could be a significant result in the title race, but also the relegation race. You know, if Luton can hang on for a point there, that could be huge in their bid for survival. But do you know what, fair play to Arsenal. Like, you do have to give them huge credit, because especially in the Premier League, and especially when you look through champions and teams that have won the league in the past, you're not always going to win games comfortably. You're not always going to win 2-3-0. It isn't as easy as going, and especially when you go away to sides, newly promoted teams, sides in and around the relegation zone, they can sometimes be some of the most trickiest and tough games to play, because like teams, like the big teams, sometimes just go there, rock up and think, do you know what, we're going to win. You know, we should have too much. We'll beat them 2-3-0. The fans are maybe a bit complacent. The longer the game goes on, the harder sometimes it can become. And the thing is about some of the newly promoted teams as well, as especially with Luton, like those fans will back their team till the absolute death, and there'll be no negativity, there'll be no booing if they go 2 or 3 goals down. Like, they'll back their team to the absolute end. And I think that's what makes it so tough sometimes for big teams. And look, fair play to Luton. I mean, I made a video last week discussing why Luton can stay in the Premier League, and I'm probably one of the very few small people, apart from Luton fans themselves, that actually believes that Luton Town can stay in the Premier League. And watching this game, you were looking at it and thinking, they're actually getting better game on game. And do you know, it will be tough for them, Luton, in terms of staying in the Premier League. Don't get me wrong. You're looking at Everton's resurgence. Maybe Sheffield United have a new manager now in Chris Wilder, but I don't really see them. I don't really see anything changing there. You're looking at the teams above them, Fulham, Forest, Wolves. Like, who's going to get dragged into it? Maybe Crystal Palace. I suppose Luton fans will be watching their game tonight, maybe sort of to hope that they possibly get dragged into it. Fair play. I mean, it was a top performance from them in terms of making the game difficult and their attack. The only disappointment from a Luton perspective is that their defence at home has actually been fairly solid this season, and for whatever reason, they just made a whole host of poor errors. I mean, that first goal was just, like, you can see the inexperience with this Luton team at times. At Kaminsky, I feel like a goalkeeper in, the top half of the table or something like that would boot that completely out of play, and he side foots it out, and he just allows Arsenal, and Luton don't set back defensively quick enough. They're not quick enough to get back into a defensive shape. And it was just that kind of set them back, when for the opening 20 minutes, really, Arsenal never really looked like scoring. Obviously, we're here to talk about Arsenal, the title of the video, why it finally looks like it might be Arsenal's year. Look, I made my opinions known in my last video for anyone who didn't see it. I think Manchester City will win the league. I still think they'll win the league. And this result, doesn't do anything to make me think otherwise. If anything, it actually makes me believe that Arsenal are more vulnerable defensively than maybe we would have perceived before this game. But things are aligning quite nicely for Arsenal. Things are aligning very, very nicely for them. Their attack is starting to click back into gear. Odegaard is starting to look more like himself. Saka, is looking very good. Gabriel Jesus obviously gets on the score sheet. And Kai Havertz, put some respect on this man's name. This man was trolled to the absolute, depths of hell, really, over the past few years. And you look on Twitter, the amount of hate this man gets is quite bizarre, for someone who scored a winning goal in a Champions League final and is still a relatively young footballer. The amount of hate he gets is just a little bit bizarre from his own fan base at the best of times. I've seen Arsenal fans on social media not wanting to celebrate when he scores, and just all sorts of bizarreness when it comes to Kai Havertz. But he's getting goals, he's getting assists, he's contributing, and that was a big goal, because when they went 3-2 down, David Raya makes 2 absolute howlers. And I mean, I must say, I genuinely think that might have been my fault, because I put him in my fantasy team. But to go 3-2 down when the fans, fans are bang up for a nighttime game, all the rest, massive response from Kai Havertz. And Declan Rice, obviously I mentioned in my last video as well, I think he is a contender so far for player of the season. I don't like admitting that as an Irishman, considering the history of Declan Rice with Ireland, but look, you can't deny it. He's been absolutely phenomenal, and he scored 2 massive late winners now for Arsenal as well. He gets that goal against Manchester United a couple of months ago, and now he gets this goal as well. And with title winners, with title chasing teams, with teams who win the league, you look back, there's been so many games down the years where they find a way to win. And look, Liverpool are doing it quite well at the moment as well. Liverpool are finding ways to win games, but Arsenal are doing it as well. And Arsenal seem to have multiple different ways of winning games. They can go 1 or 2 goals up, shut up shop, defend, for their lives and keep the opposition out. They can blow teams away. They can come back from the dead. They've got multiple different ways of playing and multiple different ways of winning games. And I think that's what makes them so dangerous now. And the thing about Arsenal is, I think the big acid question now to know whether it is finally Arsenal's year in terms of the title race is the next 2 games. They go away to Aston Villa and then away to Liverpool. And their away form has been a bit patchy. Like, don't get me wrong, they've only lost once away from home, and that was against Newcastle. They've had a few decent results away from home, but there's been a couple of times away to Brentford, this game against Luton, remember against Crystal Palace earlier in the year as well. They've looked a little bit shaky on the road. They have looked a little bit shaky, and they have looked like they haven't always clicked, and they always seem to give opposition teams a chance of getting something in the game. It's just been the opposition on the day hasn't been able to take those opportunities. But going away to Aston Villa, a team who are having a phenomenal season, going away to Villa is going to be one of the toughest grounds you can go to in the Premier League this season, and especially right now. And then away at Anfield, Arsenal haven't won in Anfield, I don't know how long. It's been a long time since Arsenal won in Anfield. I think 10 plus years. So in the league anyway. I know they won there in a couple of years ago on penalties. They very rarely do win there, in the last 10 years or so. So, the next 2 games will be huge. If they can beat Aston Villa, and even a draw at Anfield, is not a bad result. I think then the stars might start to align, and it might start to finally look like Arsenal's year in terms of winning their first Premier League title since 2004. And look, they have all the ingredients to do it. They've got a top-class midfield, probably the best midfield in the country. Declan Rice is the 6. Odegaard's fantastic. Havertz has come in, is starting to gradually get better game on game. And then you're obviously looking at that forward line. Saka, Martinelli have maybe not hit the heights that they have last year, but they're still contributing. They're still getting big goals, and they're starting to just get better and better the more that the weeks go on. And look, Gabriel Jesus gets a lot of slack. He does get a lot of criticism in terms of not being a clinical finisher. He has had periods this season where he's been injured, and we obviously know his whole all-round game is about setting up people around them. But look, that was a big goal, and Arsenal will need him to click into gear going into this festive season if they are going to stay top of the league going into the new year. And then, of course, defensively, look, it was interesting to see Saliba maybe not at his best for the first goal. There is big question marks over the goalkeeper, though. David Raya. This whole goalkeeping situation at Arsenal is... Mikel Arteta's forced his hand. He'll look a bit silly if he goes back to Ramsdale, and apparently Ramsdale wants to leave in January. David Raya has looked a little bit all over the place. Let's be honest, and that is a worry, because Premier League winning teams, you need a top class goalkeeper. You do. It makes a massive difference, and a top class goalkeeper there saves that shot from Barkley and clears the second one. The second goal comes out and gets either catches that or fists it away. So that's the problem when you don't have a top class goalkeeper. I do think Raya is a good goalkeeper, but I don't know. I think the whole Ramsdale situation, the pressure of playing for Arsenal, it is, haunting him a little bit at the moment. And Arsenal will want to get a grips on that pretty quickly, because especially going to Anfield as well, obviously Alisson be back for Liverpool, hopefully by then, touch wood, as a Liverpool fan. But look, David Raya going to Arsenal, night-time game, 23rd of December, that's going to be a tough game, and he's going to be under massive pressure. So Arsenal need to get to grips with that. I think defensively, look, I know they conceded 3 goals here, but defensively they've been solid all season. Ben White getting the assist from right back, again, he's been looking very good. Saliba's been excellent, hasn't put a foot wrong all season. Maybe looked a little bit shaky at times in this game. But again, I think David Raya was more so to blame for those errors. And just finding a way to win those games, coming up trumps in the dying minutes. If you're doing it every week, look, I think, it can become a bit of a pipe dream, and it can become a little bit of a fallacy in terms of winning the Premier League. But they do keep finding ways to win, and You do have to say, in terms of balance, in terms of defence, they probably do have the best defence in the league right now, probably have the best midfield. Obviously, throughout the season so far, you would say their attack hasn't clicked into gear, but with the players that they have in terms of their attack, we know what they can do, and we know once they click. And look, we're starting to see it more so in the last couple of weeks. Saka's getting more so on the score sheet now and starting to get back to his best. Martinelli's getting back to his best. Odegaard is, since coming back into the team, has looked a little bit rejuvenated. So yeah, I think Arsenal, it's especially when you look at Man City looking wobbly. If Man City continue to wobble, even as a Liverpool fan, I'm not too sure Liverpool are ready yet. So it does align it up for Arsenal. It really, really does. And yeah, a league title, it could be coming to the Emirates. Coming to the Emirates for the first time, actually, because obviously the last time they won the league, they were in Highbury. So it's shaping up to be a very interesting season for Arsenal. And I suppose to finish up on Luton, as I mentioned earlier in my last couple of videos, I've seen more reasons here to believe that Luton can stay in the Premier League. Ross Barkley, fair play. He looks like he's coming back to his best, when he played for Everton, 6-7 years ago. He's getting regular game time and he's looking more and more like his old self. Obviously, when he played for Chelsea, it didn't really work out for him there. He didn't really get a run of games. I think he's a player who probably needs to play, and once he starts playing and gets regular game time and gets his fitness up to shape, you start to see the best out of him. And you're starting to see that with him at Luton now. He is looking more and more like his old self, and that could be key for Luton, in fairness. Ogbeny's been very good, and obviously they're just starting to chip away with a couple of goals here and there. I mean, look, it will be tough for them, as I said, in terms of staying in the league, but that home form is going to be so crucial because, as we've said, Tottenham have struggled there, Liverpool have struggled there, and now Arsenal have struggled there. Man City are the next team to go there. Look, Man City are in a dodgy run of form at the minute. You would expect Man City to go there and win, but it won't be easy, and even, I think Luton play Chelsea at home in the new year, the beginning of the new year. I could see Luton winning that game. I really, really could. I could see that happening. I'd nearly put my money on it, to be honest with you. So, yeah, look, fair play to Luton. Some battle, some fight. You could be there's no shame in losing to Arsenal in the way that Luton have, coming up against what could be the Premier League champions. So, yeah, look, fair play to Luton. Fair play to Arsenal, though, for getting the job done, for getting the victory. Special stuff there from an Arsenal perspective. And for the title race, look, it's going to make it very, very interesting now going in to the next couple of weeks and months. And look, that game between Liverpool and Arsenal, it's shaping up to be a huge game. Look, obviously Liverpool have to do their business. As a Liverpool fan, I'm recording this on Wednesday, obviously a couple of hours before the game. Hopefully Liverpool go out, do the business against Sheffield United, do the business against Palace. And do you know what? Even Arsenal, I would like to see them get a good result against Villa. Sets that game up on the 23rd as a massive, massive game in Anfield. So, yeah, look, hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already. Stay tuned for more videos, more content coming soon. And I'll see you when I see you.